Hi, it's Dorothy Guining with Scrapbooking Quebec. Today I'm here for Mercy Tiara Kits, and I'm going to be sharing a quick and easy 12 by 12 layout design featuring the November 2024 release called Cheerful. This kit is gorgeous and it's full of beautiful Christmas themed product from Vicky Boot and Simple Stories, American Crafts, and there is a bunch of Mercy Tiara Kit exclusives as well. Here's my narrowed down selection. I have papers from Vicky Booten's Wrapped in Ribbons collection and Simple Stories. I'm going to be playing with the main kit, embellishment add-on, cardstock add-on, and the mixed media add-on. Below, you will find a bunch of links to the Mercy Tiara Kit shop, Instagram, and Facebook group. So let's get started. And you're going to see I've already double matted 3 photos of Chester last December wearing his Christmas outfits. These 3 papers here, the white, green, and red, were all in the cardstock add-on. The solid colored papers is from Simple Stories. I have a bunch of pattern paper here. What I end up using all comes from Vicky Booten's Wrapped in Ribbons collection, and I also have a bunch of scraps as well because the design I'm going to be sharing uses a bunch of strips of paper. Here's my narrowed down selection of embellishments. I have ephemera pieces from Vicky Booten. I have these little wordy bits that were in the main kit. I'm guessing they are Mercy Tiara Kit exclusives. I'm not sure, but I absolutely love them. I have self-adhesive brads, sequins. I'm showing you some DIY hollies I made on YouTube last week, and I'll talk about those later. And I also have some foam titles from Vicky Booten. So now what I have to do is determine how my foundation page is going to look. My idea is to basically use horizontal strips of paper and cover up the bottom 3/4 of this page. So what I know at this point is I want the red to be behind my photos. For the other ones, I want to use the striped paper because I think it's my favorite in the entire Cheerful kit. And the rest, well, I'm trying to figure out what I want to use. So I auditioned that holly paper, I auditioned the green, I love it all, it looks great. Now I'm trying this white and black text print. It's probably the most boring of the 3 that I tried, but that's what I end up going with. I know I'm going to be using a lot of embellishing later on, and I know myself, I get overwhelmed quickly. Already the striped red and green is very bold, so I chose something understated so that I wouldn't be overwhelmed later on. So I did trim down that white text print. Now I'm just kind of playing around with the positioning because at this point I still have to cut myself another piece of striped paper, and I do not know how wide. All I know at this point is for all of those 4 strips of paper, I want them to be at different widths. So I'm playing around with it a bit, then I will take a pencil, just make a mark where I want to cut it, then I will trim down this piece of paper. Once all of these papers are trimmed down, what I'm going to do is just apply a bit of ink to all of the edges. You're going to see me do that in a minute. The ink I use is Morning Mist by VersaFine Clair. It's what I most often reach for when I am inking up strips of paper. So I won't make you watch all of this. I'll come back in a moment, place everything on the page. No, I won't actually. I forgot about this. I know I want the word joy as my title, and it's quite big. So I want to work with that now before I actually continue my page. And what I'm showing you right now is the mixed media add-on for the Cheerful kit. The letters for joy were in there. Also were 3 stencils from Vicky Booten's Wrapped in Ribbons, and I showed you 4 Distress Spritz sprays from Ranger. I am going to be using the letters for joy, and I'm going to be using one of those Ranger sprays. The color I'm going to be using is Fossilized Amber. So what you see me doing right now is just applying a bit of ink. The ink I'm using is Garden Green from Stampin' Up! And you can see I'm kind of working from the outside towards the inside. What I want to do here is color my alphas so that they're green, and I don't want them to be equal. I want them to be darker in some areas than others. So I'm just kind of working around here with that. I'm not going to make you watch all of it, I don't think. I'm going to come back in a minute, and then what I'm going to do is just use that spritz spray and add a little bit of gold to these alphas. So I used this very same technique last week on YouTube when I created those holly leaves that I showed you earlier. So I'm just shaking up my bottle, adding a little bit of spray, and you're going to see in a moment, I let them dry for a few moments, and then you are going to see I have these really nice alphas there. So I'm trying to show you the little sheen on them. There's little drips of gold. I really do like them. Now what I'm reaching for are the hollies that I made last week on YouTube. So I used the very same color ink, and I also used the same spritz spray. So they do match, but what I'm going to quickly realize at this point, I'm going to place everything on the page, and then I realize that the green in my title is not the same as the green paper that I have on my layout, and that slightly bothers me, but I still like it. Anyway, at this point, I'm placing everything down, and I'm realizing that the green that's behind my photos is different than my title. And obviously, it's going to be different than my holly leaves as well. So I thought maybe if I added a bit more of the green that was already behind the photos, it would appear a little less random on the page. So what you see me doing right now is making myself a little border. I am using the Creative Memories border maker system to create myself just a little scalloped border, and I'm going to trim this down, and I'm just going to tuck it in one of the layers and see if I like it. And in the end, I do end up liking it, and I can't really explain it. It's just in my gut. I think the best way to explain it is that the green behind the mats looks a little bit more purposeful now that I have that very same green elsewhere on the page. So now I know I want the word joy to be on the white cardstock at the top of the page. So I just kind of measured where to adhere this striped paper, where to start adhering my pattern paper. So I start with this striped bit. I do fuss with it a bit. I don't end up putting it quite to the edge of that white cardstock. I have to lift it. I do the same thing with the red. Finally, I decide to turn off my camera and just adhere those strips of paper without the tripod over my head, and it went much, much better. So all of that is adhered down. Now what you see me doing is adhering the photos. When I adhere a row of 3 photos, I always use this approach. I adhere one photo at one end, then I adhere another photo at the complete opposite end. And by doing that, I can ensure that the margin on the right and left are identical. Then I take my middle photo and just position it in the middle. It really works well. It certainly works well for me. So my photos are down. I have my title there. I'm not going to adhere my title quite yet. I want to show you my embellishing. I will adhere it when I embellish my page. So I'm showing you those DIY hollies that I made last week on YouTube. So again, I use that same garden green ink. I cut them out with scissors. You can watch that video if you're interested. I am showing you a stencil from the mixed media add-on that I used, along with that fossilized amber distress spritz. Now I'm showing you that I did my journaling on vellum off camera. I kind of flagged a journaling card as well. I'm showing you that I have some sequins. I also have those words. I just showed them to you a moment ago. They were in the main kit. I have some Simple Story self-adhesive brads. I am showing you that I narrowed down a selection of ephemera pieces from Vicki Boutin. And I also have these foam titles from Vicki Boutin as well. So the first thing I want to do is work on my journaling. Now, for this design, what I have in my mind is I want the top diagonal of this page to be more or less filled in with embellishments, and the bottom diagonal of the page to be free of embellishments. So already I don't have much journaling, and that journaling box that was in the ephemera pack was quite large. Now what I want is I want where the word joy at top, I want to kind of extend that for my embellishing, but the embellishing towards the bottom right corner, I want it to taper in. That way I will form that top diagonal design that I'm looking for. So it works in my favor to trim down that ephemera piece anyway. You can kind of see I more or less cut it 2/3, 1/3. I actually layered up another ephemera piece on top of it, and on top of that, I'm layering up my vellum with my journaling. So I'm not quite finished with that yet, but I am happy with it. Now you see me moving up by the title there. So I have the word December. It's like a red label. And what I showed you a moment ago, that was actually part of a larger ephemera piece that said 25 December. I often alter ephemera pieces to make them work for me, and I really like how that looks overlapping the word joy. I repeated that red label look down by the bottom with another red label that says highlights, and now I'm coming in with those DIY holly leaves. So I kind of like how that's looking, and again, I'm getting that tapered effect, filling in the top diagonal that I want to do. So I'm pulling out these wordy bits now that were in the main kit. The words are celebrate, traditions, cheerful. I really, really like them, and I'm thinking of popping them within the photo mats behind my photos. I end up just kind of playing around with the order a bit. I wanted them to kind of make sense, so I end up going with celebrate cheerful traditions. Anyway, I don't think that really matters, but I really do like how that looks. And I do find this layout with a lot of the embellishing seems to have wordy bits, so that seems to be kind of how I'm going with this, but I actually really quite like it. And that works especially when one word is extra big, and in this case the word joy is really big. If they were all kind of equal in size, it would be very confusing with regards to the title. Now you can see I am adhering. So I adhered the pieces at the bottom, I adhered those words above the photos, and now you see me adhering my title. I'm using liquid adhesive because it's a fairly thick paper. I'm not sure if it's like a mixed media paper that Tracy used to cut those words. And of course, on top of it, I added ink and spray. So I just found that the liquid adhesive worked better. And now what you see me doing is just working with that label that I'm going to be overlapping the word joy with. I backed it with a little bit of extra cardstock because I want to pop it up on foam adhesive. I want it to kind of overlap that. I really like how that's looking. And then what I will do is come in with one of those holly leaves there as well. So now you can kind of see I'm really filling in that top diagonal, and I'm really happy that that journaling box towards the bottom is tapered down. So now I'm looking at the journaling box, and there is this kind of a pale aqua color. So I kind of introduced that in addition to the red and green, and that's what I'm looking for now. I end up finding a little wordy bit, a long one that I put underneath the word joy. So that's there temporarily right now. And earlier I had stapled my vellum on the journaling box, and I don't like it. So I was looking for something there to hide that. Now you see that off camera, I cut myself out another one of those scalloped borders that I used earlier. What I'm thinking at this point is I just want to add a few subtle bits to kind of add a bit more weight to my title area. So you can see I just have a little strip of it. It's more narrow, or I should say it's less long than the one that's at the bottom, but I just kind of tucked it behind the red, up behind the word traditions, and I'm happy with that. Very, very subtle. And above that, that's where I adhered that pale aqua wordy bit that says seasons, greetings, and best wishes for the new year. So that just adds subtly a little bit of weight to that area. Now I'm coming in, adding a few more finishing touches. I'm just adding those peppermint sequins just to those labels there, because you can see one end of the label is held down by my hollies and the other end was kind of empty. That's why I added that sequin, which is a peppermint, which is from the Mercy Tiara Kits exclusive sequin mix for the Cheerful Kit. I absolutely love it. Those peppermints are adorable. Anyway, here is my finished layout. You can see it off camera. I did end up removing that staple that was bothering me, and I covered up the holes with a few ephemera pieces, and then I topped it off with one more of those peppermints. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd greatly appreciate a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, Scrapbooking Quebec, I would be honored and thrilled if you did. And if you are a subscriber, thank you very, very much. Make sure you check out the Mercy Tiara Kits shop, Instagram, and Facebook page. Take care, and I will see you soon on YouTube. Bye-bye.